right, you guys. So we're back. We are talking about red flags and dating. Y'all, whew, this is going to be so good.
This is going to be a good episode, y'all. I'm looking forward. We've been waiting weeks to do this episode, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Larisha. So we were watching the Married at First Sight, the whole season, really. And I mean,
Yes.
that season finale, were you surprised by the decision day?
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised that I fell asleep on it because I knew what the outcomes were going to be, unfortunately. And I normally stay up and like, I'm so excited. I want to find out what's going to happen. I already knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I wasn't surprised by any of the. There was one person's response that I was surprised by because it felt like the whole like towards the last few weeks he was going to say no. But then we can dive into that a little later. But let's just start with red flags. What was first? Okay, let's do this. What were your opinions of the couples? We can go couple by couple. So initially when you first saw them, they met at the aisle, or at the altar. What was your first, just your first impression of like, let's start with Bao and Johnny.
For me, even before them coming down the aisle, I just felt like they both had very unique backgrounds based off their culture. And I thought that this was going to be something interesting to watch as it relates to their dynamics. Had no idea that they actually known each other. I was like, wow, like who would have thought? And at one point I was like, well, maybe this could be something special because they kind of knew each other. It's like fate. Oh, wow, this could definitely work out. But yeah, I just thought in the beginning Bao was going to be challenging to work with. And I just was like, I don't see this last thing. I really thought like she was going to be the issue. But just tell me your thoughts before we delve in, because I got some more to say about Bao and John.
Girl, I thought Bao was when I looked at Bao, I kind of saw a lot of me, actually, a lot of me in the beginning of Bao because she was so like focused. And she was so like structured. Now I wasn't I'm not as structured as Bao to the point of where I have my like I write down exactly how things should be packed in my luggage. Like I'll have a list of the items that I should include in my luggage. Like I'll put that on my phone, but having an Excel file and all these other different things of like packing, like, no, I'm not that structured. But I did see a lot of myself in Bao. And as far as like, even as the season progressed and they were doing their painting and she was wanting to make sure it was right, like that would be something that I would have done too. And so really like seeing, I know we're supposed to be talking about the initial. Okay, so I have to say that thought for later. But just initially, I thought that it was cool that they actually knew each other because I took it back to when the couple from last season, was it New Orleans? Was that the last season or was there one before then?
I think it could have been a season before. They come back to back now.
Yeah, so it's so fast.
You gotta keep up with them. Yeah.
But the one
it was New Orleans though.
New Orleans, yeah, with I can't remember their name. What was their name? But
I forgot their names.
He started with it. They met at the restaurant. Like the girl was ordering was she working? One of them was working there, and then the other person was picking up an order or something like that.
Yeah. Their names is on the tip of my tongue.
I know. It's like right there. But yeah, and so I was like, oh wow, they met and didn't realize we didn't pay attention. So that's cool. And then to see it coming around, and this time it's they actually knew each other and worked with each other, like on their school, whatever it was, like an organization or board or something like that. So I was like, this is really nice. Like I thought it was going to be, one of those happily ever afters.
Yeah. That's what we thought. Until like episode 2, we were like, what? Y'all just, So it was a very roller coaster ride for me, just watching their friendship and them getting to know each other. Because like you said, you would think, oh, someone like, oh, this could really work out. This could be fun. And then you begin to uncover things and learn things about people's personalities and quirks. And it was a lot. It was a lot to watch Bao and Shani this past season.
Yeah, and so like even as the season progressed, and I noticed like Bao was a really great communicator. Like I thought as far as being intentional and wanting to hear Johnny out and not like leave immediately when he said some off the wall stuff, because Johnny said some stuff that I would been like, sis, that's not
It was her better than me.
okay. That's not acceptable. And he really thought that he was right in saying it. And I I don't know, man. I kind of like even going back to the part that with the painting, and it was just like, you know, she's wanted to be all say. I can understand, like, yeah, it's a fun moment, and at times, like, that's where I would personally need someone who could help me say, you know, hey, it's okay, Erica, it's okay, it's just for fun, like, it's not, you know, super serious. Like, even if they realize, like, okay, well, maybe she like this is it, just to have a little patience, extend a little grace. And that's it. Don't let it ruin the whole evening. Like, I think it works on both ends, especially if it's something that you know that person can't really help. And like, you know, because that's just like when I was looking at Bao, that's even with her snoring, you know, that's something that she was insecure about. And he's like, oh, that's not serious. Like, but she had experienced this her whole life, and she has like real life experiences to where it caused some emotional distress for her. So it's like, don't dismiss it. I think on Johnny's end, he wasn't very patient and understanding.
And I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that everything had to be on his terms, on his timeline, the way he envisioned it.
Exactly.
And I guess we could spend some time talking about this idea, because I think a lot of the couples had this perspective of what they thought marriage was supposed to be, should be for their lives. And some of it was kind of like a fantasy land. It was like a fantasy land.
And you know what? I noticed it was with the men. And I feel like in society, a lot of men have this picture perfect image of what this wife should be. But women, we're kind of taught like, oh, well, girl, that man wants you. So you just gotta, you gotta get in where you fit in, like, you know, meet his standard. And it's not, you know, I just feel that's how that's just the that's just how things are pushed. And I don't think, you know, that's not acceptable. It's like, not, you shouldn't, just because a man is showing you attention or he likes you or this, that, and the third, it doesn't mean like you have to, even like, if you don't like him, I mean, I know they're married, so this is different. But just as far as we're talking about in dating, like if you find you don't like him, or if you find you're compromising in different areas just to like gain this person's approval, that's not it. That's not the way to go. And man, it's just, I noticed that it was like all the men had this vision of what they thought the perfect woman was, but here they were, they were not perfect at all. I mean, very just not perfect, but they didn't see that. They didn't see that for themselves. They were selfish.
Yeah. And I think we talked offline even before this episode. Like a lot of times we felt like these couples needed to be better vetted for this process. Like they weren't emotionally ready for it. Some of them weren't even financially ready, in my opinion. And I think just social wise, like they had some quirkiness with them. They just had some things about them. I was like, they were suspect. Like, why are you operating that way? So I feel like a lot of times, I think I was telling somebody earlier today, like before the previous seasons, I felt like people were more into this process. And now it feels like they're rushing through to keep up with the ratings and trying to prove a point. And no, that's not what the show is about.
Definitely not what the show is about. We'll be okay if y'all, you know, experts, if you guys take your time, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. These are people's livelihoods at stake here. Like, no. But okay, what about the next couple?
Brett and Ryan. When I saw them, I was like, okay, they might
They were so cute.
I was like, they might work. And then it was just, for me, I felt like they were kind of boring to watch. And the only reason I say that is because Ryan was boring. Like he
Ryan
really
was a little blah. He was a little blah. Yeah.
He was like blood, like he was there, but it felt like he wasn't present.
Right.
It made for like pulling teeth watching the two of them communicate.
Yeah.
And I just felt like there wasn't that intimacy that they were looking for or trying to get throughout their time together. And after a while, I just knew it looked like they both checked out.
Yeah. I think one thing that kind of went off as a radar red flag for me was Brian's response to Brett's fear of flying. Mm-hmm. Like he was there, like he helped her through it, or he was there for her through it. But I felt like his response, the way he talked about it, it was rude a little bit to me. It was like, back again, having that she has a fear for this thing. Like, don't take jabs at her, or, don't kind of, I feel like he was more so annoyed with it than anything. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit there.
Yeah. And me too. Also, even before he got on here, this dynamic of him with these dating sites and dating all these multiple people, like, dude, like, what is it? Like, why are you going through all of these women? Like, what, at some point you have to take an introspective look and say, well, maybe it's me if it's not working out on anything that I'm doing. And I felt like a lot of times he didn't put enough effort. Even his family said, like, you need someone who's going to kind of bring that out of you, but no one should have to force you to communicate. No one should have to force you to communicate. And if it's in you, it's in you. And I felt like Brett would have been patient enough, but I also felt like it would have been a disservice had she had continued on and just waited around for him to come around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like Brett was trying in a lot, even with the little manatee thing when they were out there in the little rowboats. Brett was like, no, I don't want to touch it. I want to touch it. Like, she was in the boat. She had her little paddle. She was there, like, baby steps, baby steps. So, yeah, I think that Brett was a very strong one too, because she lost her dog during the show, and that could be tough, I'm sure. But she still was trying to work it out, even though she wasn't even receiving that attention and respect and all of that. So yeah.
I think also with him, another red flag I noticed is he was able to tell other people one thing, but when it came time to confront the issue, he had an opportunity, a safe space to say how he felt, and he still didn't even use the opportunity. Because I didn't think she would have been a person that would have blown up on him. Mm-hmm. And she welcomed the feedback. It's just that he never really was truthful about how he really felt. Yeah. And then when she finally kind of began to get her voice and stand her ground, that's when he kind of just kind of dismiss it and just pretend like this just didn't even happen.
Right.
Like, how do you tell somebody that you didn't mean to activate a dating app? Like, you set it up. Like, what do you mean? You was going to wait till decision day? Like, who does that? You're still legally married.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. Like, even in his conversation with the other men about their marriages, and it's like, I did not want him and Johnny together. I'm like, no, y'all need to get away from that pool table. Johnny, don't listen to him.
They just feeding each other's ego, like they're just feeling with
it. I'm like, this is not
you can't provide each other advice right now because y'all both a mess.
Okay, don't do that.
And that's what was happening. And it was unfortunate. I felt like she, of course, was another one who didn't get a fair chance at this.
Yeah.
I think her heart was in the right place, but she didn't get a fair chance at this.
That was so unfortunate. It was just like, yeah, that was tough. That was a tough one to watch because it started off like good. It started off good. And then it just.
Yeah, he just kept saying, I'm not there yet. Well, when are you going to get there?
Right. What you need.
Right.
He couldn't express what his needs were. That's what it was. And that's what it was. And that's something that I'm just like, okay, if you're not happy, if you're not where you would want to be, but you can't express what it is, then what are we doing? Like, I would need to know, like, how can I help? What am I doing? How can I make this better? You can't even tell me. So where do we even go from there? You know, that was really tough, because you could tell, like, Britt was just like, she sincerely was like wanting to know, like, well, what? And he would just never tell her. Talked about it to everybody else though.
Yeah. Yeah. And she would find out.
Right.
And still be like, hey, I heard this from so and so.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah. Yeah. So communication is key in every relationship. And yeah, watch out for that red flag. They can't open up. Like, yeah, that's a red flag. Huge
that's
one.
a red, a definite one, big one. What about the next couple?
This one, I had to decide, because this one took us all through the entire season. That Michaela and Zach. This couple here, when I first saw them, I was like, oh, they could be cute together. Black couple, yes, yes, yes. They're young. Like, I was excited for them. She was giddy, he was giddy. Like, I was like, okay, this could be good. And then after that, it just kind of went downhill from there. It just went downhill from there. Like, they had some high moments, and they had a lot of low moments that just kind of were magnified throughout the season. And I just felt like they never really recovered from any of it.
Right.
It was like they had their wedding night, it was good, and the next day it was terrible.
Right.
So it was definitely a roller coaster ride to watch them. I was rooting for them, especially after episode 1, until I saw the preview of what to expect through the season. I was like, what happened?
Right.
What happened?
I was like, oh, they cute, but when I saw that initial wedding episode, I was like, I don't know about this one. Only because I felt like, what was her name? Yeah, I forgot the shout name. Michaela.
Yeah.
Yes. I felt like Michaela was so excited, so happy. She had so much energy, which is great. Yes. But I also look at the flip side. Like, how does that person respond when they're angry? Like, if they have that much energy and excitement when they're happy, what do they look like when they are angry? And so that was my concern then. And then when they started to really, like, you could tell on the scenes when they started to ask, like, her sisters and her mom and stuff were talking about her, and then she was talking about how she responds. She was talking about how she responds when she has disagreements and things like that. I wasn't buying it. I didn't. But who got me? The husband. I was not expecting that from him. I wasn't expecting that from him. I thought he would have been like a little pushover because he wanted marriage so much, and I felt like he probably would have did anything to make it work. But I didn't expect to be so confused by the things that he was saying.
I think we all were experts.
Wait, what?
Parents, his brothers, everybody, the dogs. I mean, everybody was confused. He was up and down, every episode. And I felt like he was talking in circles.
Yeah, I didn't understand him.
I don't think he understands himself, but in his mind, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to be careful that the things that we tell ourselves to make it make sense, when in actuality, it's just a cycle of toxicity. And I felt like they both fed off of each other. I mean, of course, Michaela had her traumatic experiences, and I felt like even in this moment, like, you got to deal with that stuff before you get in relationships. Like, you can't be walking around broken and burdened and carrying that around, because then it'll impact your relationship. It'll impact someone else's life as well. And I felt like neither one of them were ready for this.
And that's one thing I can say, that I'm glad that the Lord took me through this process of, like, purifying me and pruning me and getting rid of the things that definitely I didn't need. Because I think even we were having a conversation or a discussion about this before, and was like, how do you get that mad? Like, when they were at that cabin, and she was like, I think you asked, can somebody really get that mad? And I was like, sis, there was a point in time where your friend would have gotten that mad and had, basically a temper tantrum, because I was filled with so much anger and hurt and just broken. And, like, I'm thankful by the grace of God. Like, that is no more. I can, exhibit self-control and discipline and know, like, not to allow anyone's actions to take me to a place that's you just can't. You can't. But they definitely need to sit before the Lord and do some work on that. Yeah.
I agree. And I think in their way of handling things, it made it hard for them to really trust each other, because it felt like one person would trust one person, and the minute they said, well, I don't trust you, and then they would just kind of they would rely on their previous ways of coping with it. So Zach would flight. Michaela would do the same thing too, to protect themselves. And I felt like those were moments where they could have taken a moment to pause, but came back and had a real conversation. And I felt like they never really were able to do that, because one was walking on eggshells and the other one was like, well, I don't say nothing because you're going to run away from me anyway. So I don't think they got a chance to really learn how to communicate with each other either.
Yeah. Or communicate. Yeah. In general, I think that's one thing that I hope they are able to take from that and really just do the work on themselves. And Zach's whole explanation for everything, like, I don't know where Michaela's mindset is, but I really do pray that she has taken the time, if not already, will take the time to just do some work on herself. She did show growth within the episode, but there's, definitely more that can be done.
Yeah, that's a real thing. And I think that's a huge takeaway, I think, for all of them. Like, even the ones that, who decided to still stay married, like, there's still work to be done even in their part as well. But yeah, that couple, that was a lot. So, sis, we had another couple, Mirla and Gil. What were your thoughts about Mirla and Gil?
So Mirla and Gil, I'm gonna be honest, like, I didn't think that was gonna work. I didn't think it was gonna. Mirla was a little bit of a handful. Gil, he looked great. I feel like throughout the episode, there was some things. I'm not gonna say Gil was perfect. Gil was a little nosy. He was in everybody's business. I feel like, Gil, are they asking you to ask everybody those questions? Or you just, I mean, they were good questions.
He be the host.
He should.
He knew what to ask.
Listen, there were some good questions. I'm not even gonna lie, but I was like, every time I look around, Gil asking some questions. But I loved his honesty. I love that he was, like, in tune with his emotions and how he felt. And if he didn't like something, if there was a moment where he wasn't happy, he was able to express it to Mirla, even if it was something that was hard to express, that, she might not would have wanted to hear. And I believe that worked for them. And his patience and his understanding, like, Gil had it. He had it all. Like, yeah, man. If all the men, Gil was a staple. Like, this is a good example of what the men should be at when they come to the married at first sight, and even in life. Like, I don't know if him being a firefighter, helped with that, being calm and cool under pressure. But he did a really great job. And I like that Mirla was open to the things that he shared. So it wasn't like she was easily offended. She knew a lot of what he's saying was true, and she worked at evolving because she knew it was for the better. Like, even with the dog, like, she didn't want to go out there.
Came a long way with that dog.
Sis was like, I'm not, don't get that dog. Hey, you better not get nowhere near me. Mm-hmm. But then look at her, she was out there walking the dog by herself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Didn't even need Gil with her. So it was just like, she was open to it. And I think that's, what it takes in relationships. Like, you have to be open. You have to have that commitment. Mm-hmm. And you have to realize that you're not perfect. You can have that room, to grow and be able to accept correction, be teachable, and just really honor and respect each other, because even like in their conversations, when they were with the other groups, like they didn't I didn't see it where like even in the things that Mirla said too are about Gil were respectful. The things that he said to her were respectful. You know, there might have been one time or two where people laughed it out, but they had their own little like, you know, banter with each other back and forth to where that probably was, you know, acceptable. It wasn't disrespectful for her. And I couldn't say that for the other couples.
No, I agree. In the beginning, I had no idea how their relationship would have evolved, because I felt like, you know, he was stable with his lifestyle where she was, you know, very ambitious. That was the conversation that constantly came up with them, was with their finances and the talk of just, you know, getting on the same page with how they would have their lifestyle, how they would raise their family and so forth. And at one point I was like, I don't think they're going to make it, because this is becoming too much for Gil. It was always a topic of conversation with family, with friends, you name it, anybody. That's what he brought up. But I appreciate the fact that Mirla didn't give up on him. And like you said, she took it upon herself to make some improvements, to make some changes, because she saw the value, not only in him, but in the relationship and what she wanted in the marriage. And I also appreciated the fact that I think they were a good match for each other. I mean, when it came down to like decision day and they sat with the experts, it's kind of like they were saying they wanted the same things. It was just the way that they went about it.
Yeah.
You know, like they both want stability. It's just that one
just look different.
Different. One want money. Yeah. And the other one, you know, he said, I don't want to live in a box, but you know, I want to be comfortable with my family and so forth. And I think for them, I think they can compromise.
Exactly.
Because he could have said no.
Yeah, that's key.
Could have said no, and she compromised too. I mean, you may not get your concierge, but if he's saying I'll take out the trash, just let him take out the trash. You don't gotta take it out.
Okay.
Let him do it. And you don't save your money. You can save your money.
Spend that on the shoes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, well, if you want to take out the trash, let him take out the trash. That's what I think. I want somebody to take out my trash.
Okay.
You know, I don't pay nobody to do it, but if you want to do it, go ahead and do it.
Okay.
But I hope and pray that they stay together, because they were like, in so many ways, the way that they were operating, like they were two opposites, but they really attracted towards each other. And they were the ones that I was rooting for, because I was like, she's patient with him, he's patient with her. I hope it works. And I'm glad that they did say yes to each other at decision day.
Yeah. Yeah. They work well together.
So we got another couple here. Our last couple, Rachel and Jose. What were your thoughts about them?
So initially, I was like, okay, I don't know. It was hard to tell whether or not Rachel actually liked Jose. And then the things that she said upon like initially meeting him, I was like, well, sis, that's not, she was like, I wasn't expecting you, but I thought she said like that. It was, I can't remember her exact words, but she didn't bring it back around. She was like, no, I think the experts did a great job in matching us. Like, I wasn't expecting you. Like you definitely weren't who I expected. And she kind of ended it there or something like that. But I was like, no, bring it back, sis, but I'm glad to have you or something. Cause he had mentioned at one point that, he didn't know if she was attracted to him or not. So that one was kind of like, I don't know how this is going to go, but during their, like, they did pretty well. And then kind of early on, they really had the opportunity to talk and discuss. But I think the red flag for me that I noticed in the relationship was it was on both sides. So one with Jose being controlling, his idea of like how money should be spent, and the thing about the trips and stuff. I feel like he could have compromised a little more on that with, I think she brought up the idea of maybe doing like a really big trip every other year or something like that, or every 2 years or something like that. I was like, that's reasonable, but he was talking about just taking a road trip across the state over here. Like,
what? What? You go to Vegas.
What? Yeah, let's go to Vegas. Like, bro, that's not But okay. And then, with her, just from her being single and having that mindset of her summertime, like I was like, wait a minute, what's this? Just like, so that was a little like, oh, okay. So I was like, Jose, don't mess nothing up because this about to be gone. She haven't turning up in the summer, like,
right.
But yeah, that was
But
my take on it.
he did mess up, and we learned later
he did.
what happened when he messed up. And I feel nervous. I don't say I feel nervous for him, but that's something that he's going to be constantly, I think, always thinking about. The one time I made a mistake, you went to your ex. I'm like, sis, out of all the people in the world, you could have called your mother. You could have called another castmate. You want to go sleep at your ex's house? Like, that didn't make sense to me.
Well, how you don't know who was right there with her close and who would let her in that time of night?
Morning. She could have went to a hotel, but you gonna go to the ex?
I don't know. She had her wallet and stuff. She didn't have nothing.
But then how she know to call the ex?
She had her phone. No, that might have been the only number she had. What did she do? I thought she went to. She tried to knock on the people.
And no one answered.
That probably was the only number she knew, sis.
Did she have her phone?
Did she have her phone, or did she have? Because if she didn't have her phone, I mean, she might even know her mama's number. Her mama might not have been. The whole reason this thing started, which I'm not even mad at Jose. I mean, I'm mad at how Jose responded, but I can see how he was hurt because she did call him another man's name.
Yeah.
So that
she already had just told him that she cheated before.
Exactly.
That was in his mind.
That was in his mind. And that, how can you not? You just met this like 2 weeks and you don't know, like they're telling you like, no, I've been single such and such, but you don't know, and then you calling somebody else's name. So for Jose, I mean, I can see why he was hurt. Now his reaction, his response, well, deadbolt locking her out. That was not no accident.
Yeah, you don't forget.
You don't forget. Oh, I just, it was automatic. That's my routine. No, sir, you do not. You know what you was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
After everything blew over. They had a conversation, and they worked it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was definitely, that controlling piece was something that I had me thinking about the entire season. Like everything had to be his way.
Yeah.
The structure. He wasn't willing to budge. And I'm like, well, you're debt free almost. So it's like, just enjoy yourself. It's okay.
Right. That part.
You've done a great job. Like, you're good. Relax.
Right.
You're married.
And it wasn't right. And it wasn't like she was trying to go out and buy the red bottoms and do, all those other things. Like she wasn't. She was being mindful of her purchases, but it was just like wanting to experience that traveling with her husband, which I understand. I totally understand that.
Yeah. So this season it's over now, and it was so many nuggets and takeaways from it. I mean, one of the things I keep thinking to myself, please be healed before you, let alone being married, but just being in a relationship, and be ready for it. Like, do that work inside and know what you want and know what you're not going to, stand for. Because a lot of times people will stay in relationships just because they feel like, well, I've been alone all this time. This is my time now, Lord. Let me just take it. Let me just settle. Let me just deal with what comes my way. And that doesn't have to be your story.
And even as we're talking about dating, like for me, this is what I had to learn is like, don't date someone for their potential. Date them for who they are in that moment. Like, are you ready to take them as they are? Because it can either get better or it could get worse. But if it's going to get worse, are you going to be committed to that word? Like, if you're not, then you need to act accordingly. And so that's how I look at it whenever, someone approaches me and I'm getting to know them and I'm, kind of examining and observing how do they respond to different situations. How is their relationship like with the Lord? Are they able to pray with me? Are or do they just prefer that I do all the praying? Like how are they with their finances, different things like that. And if there's something where I'm like, if this gets worse, I can't experience it. I can't stand to agree with that. Then I realize like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to bow out gracefully.
As you should.
Just
as you should. As you should.
Yeah. Because it's not promised. When you're trying to date someone for their potential and you thinking, oh no, they gonna get better. Oh no, they gonna get better. And then you get married and that issue that you thought that red flag is only amplified even 10 times more. And now you're like, oh man, this was not what I was expecting. I never even saw this coming. No, you saw it. You had the flag, but you didn't want to take heed. And it's not to say like, we all don't have something that we're working on, but you just have to know your level of what you're going to be able to commit to, because at the end of the day, when you take that vow for marriage, you're committed. You're committing to love that person for better or for worse. Period. So you have the opportunity while dating to say, hey, do I want to stand before God and say that I'm going to commit to loving this person for better or for worse, knowing that if this person get worse, I ain't going to want to deal with it. Just my thoughts.
Y'all, I see why I'm still single. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. Because it's so much. Like that is so like the person you pick, like it's one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your life. So you want to make sure you align yourself with the right person.
Exactly. Like your values, your just like everything, man. Like, because it's serious. It's a commitment. That's a commitment I only want to make once.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's okay to be single. And there's not, especially now you might hear a lot of people be like, oh, well, marriage is you winning. When you marry, you winning. But like both are blessings. Singleness and marriage are blessings. Neither one is greater than the other. Don't settle, y'all. Please don't settle.
Please don't. Please don't. Please
and if somebody telling you, now I'm going off script, but if somebody telling you they your husband and you your wife, don't take their word for it. Go to God, because God will confirm it to you as well. God ain't just
I'm a living witness. I got a whole story about that. You have to go to God and he will tell you. And it won't take him all day to tell you. It won't take him long. Right. You just have to be willing to take heed and follow the direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had to say that because, whew, child. Felt that.
Yeah. Like you said, I felt that. I was like, well, I felt it too. So I just gotta let it out because I could have messed up my entire life by aligning myself with the wrong person.
And that's the part.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much bigger than, this temporary, just like, oh, I want you because I want that companionship and I want, to feel wanted and valued and all this other stuff. Like it's bigger than that. We have all that in Jesus first. But then it's like, and we've talked about this before, but it's just, man, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Any final words, sis?
You ended it off nice. You've ended it off nice. Just like I said, there's so many takeaways from this episode, but I'm glad we got to do a debrief about it.
I'm glad we did too. This is good. I'm excited. Looking forward to the next episode. I like watching Married at First Sight because it helps me see how to respond in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows me to reflect inwardly and say, like, Erica, now would you have done something like that? Okay, now I can prevent not doing that going forward. And then even a lot of this season, I didn't see too many of the exercises. Like, I feel like in the past episodes, there were like a lot of exercises. for them to like communicate with one another, and like they would have the questions in the jars or like the dice or something, like, you know, those different things. I didn't see too many of those this season. I don't know if maybe they cut them out from the episode, like, or what, but I didn't see too many of those. But even for like some of those exercises, it's like, oh wow, that's a good exercise. Let me write that down, so that could be something I could do, you know, like with my future husband or whatever.
Yeah. But the next one's coming soon.
It is. They real quick with it.
Yep.
So we'll be tuned in for that one too.
Yeah. I will be. Finding out who's next.
Okay. But so, sis, here's a question. We've asked this before. I'm gonna ask it now to see if your response has changed.
Go ahead and ask away.
Would you do Married at First Sight?
No. The answer is still no. The answer is still no. I forgot why I said no last time. But it's still no. And I think now I'm at a place where I don't want to be rushed through that process. I don't want to be rushed. And I really want to take the time to get to really know somebody.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 8 weeks is not a lot of time, but at the same time, it's a accelerated process. So you sometimes kind of miss some of those key things that you need to be talking about, thinking about, because now you got to get to the next day or the next week. And yeah. And then also, I'm not ready to have people in my business like that.
That part I will agree with you on.
Because then it opens up the can of having commentary, people assuming things, you know, with the editing, like we could exactly. That's not even what they meant. So
at the end of the day, it is for entertainment purposes and ratings. So that's good. Well, I can't remember what I said. Did I say yes or no?
You said no.
Oh, I did.
The other show.
Oh, Blind. Love Is Blind. Yes, that's what I said. Okay, well, I'm still a no. And I'm still a no, because I want the Lord. I want the Lord to get the glory for it. And I feel like if I go on to Married at First Sight, he won't get the glory. Them experts will get all the glory for it. And the way this weight is set up right now, after I have been doing some thinking and some because even like if I can be candid and share, like throughout my waiting, like even having an understanding of like who God has for me, and still while I'm dating, I'm still trying to create my own little situation and dating people that I know good and well, like, no, this is not it. What are you doing, sis? This ain't it. So now it's like I'm at that place where I'm like, you know what, Lord, I'm going to release my hands off of this. I'm just going to chill, and I'm just going to trust you. And I know that when it does happen, it's going to be something that I can't take the glory for. Like, you know, none of my friends can take the glory for it. Like, the only person is going to be you. Like, you're going to be the only one that can get the glory for it. So that's why I was like, no, I wouldn't do Married at First Sight. I probably wouldn't even do Love Is Blind anymore. I'll change my answer for that to no as well.
No, I get it. I understand. I'm at a place now is, Lord, you know what I want and what I need.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave it in your hands. Not to say that I'm not going to do my work internally to make sure I'm ready when that time comes.
Absolutely.
But I want to trust you, and I trust you with everything else. Why can't I trust you with my heart and my love life? So
absolutely. But sis, if it's 8 weeks and the Lord say, hey, sis, go, I'm like, all right, guys, sure. I ain't gonna put a time limit on it. Lord, have your way.
But I tell everybody, the Lord himself had to come down and see Larisha. Like, it has to be him like that.
Yeah, what's the voice?
Larisha. And that's how it has to be, because that's the only way I'm going to know that it's him.
Right.
Yep, it's going to have to be. And everybody cracks up every time I do that, because I was like, I have to be able to hear it like it's him and not my inner thoughts. Yeah.
I think I'm at that point now too, where like I ain't gonna. Y'all see me rushing out to get married soon, quick, fast, and hurry. Please know that the Lord has already put his hands and his grace and extended it to me, because I've been single for a while now. You know, I could have gotten married. Could have settled. But I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. Lord, I'm gonna trust you. So I just want y'all to know, if it happens that way, God's voice did.
Say that the Lord did it.
The Lord did
The
it.
Lord
Okay?
did it.
The Lord did it.
But yeah, that's the only thing I'm going to be able to say is the Lord did it.
Yeah, the Lord did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is good.
This has been a good one. This has been a good one. I'm just glad that what would you I always like to ask people, I asked someone, I think on our last episode, what would you tell your younger self now, the things that you've learned about dating, relationships? Let's go back to your 21-year-old self.
Oh, girl. 21
No,
year old.
let's do 23, 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Oh, that was when I was just now, like, really just turning my life over to God and surrendering to Him for this walk. And even as I said before, like, I still was trying to do this relationship thing on my own. So I would tell my 23-year-old self to trust God, take God at His word, focus on your healing, focus on allowing Him to just grow you into the woman that He's created you to do. And don't get discouraged. You'll have your moments, you'll cry, you'll wonder what's going on, but don't get discouraged. God hasn't forgotten about you. He loves you. And He's going to provide for you. That's what I would tell my 23-year-old self.
That's good. That's good.
What about you?
I would, what was I doing at 23? I would tell myself that you are worthy, that you're not a mistake, that you have the capacity to be the woman that you've often wondered and dreamed that you would become. I would also tell myself that you don't have to settle, that there is someone out there who was created, ordained by God for you. Trust the process. Don't lose sight of the greater purpose, and give yourself some grace to be. I think that's what I would tell myself. Yeah. Yep.
Amen.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a great way to end this one.
Amen. Amen.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, make sure if you haven't already that you follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Leave us a review and leave us a comment under this video. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Let us know what you thought about the Married at First Sight, like the whole season and the finale, like decision day, everything. Drop your comments below. We look forward to continuing to connect with you.
Yes, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel.
All right, y'all, take care.
Take care.